Rejoice. This is the day the Lord has made. I'm Dr. Amanda. Mama said, girl, get out of your own head. Drop in the comments, what did your mama say? Or what do you say to yourself when nobody else is around? Mama saw it before you even knew it was happening. You were spiraling. You were overthinking, talking yourself out of blessing and into your worst fear. We all have done it. Replaying conversations that were already over. Rehearsing failures that hadn't even happened yet. And mama looked at you and said, girl, get out of your own head. Because guess what? Mama knew that the most dangerous place you could live was inside an unguarded mind. And sweetie, if you are out there on your own right now, nobody is watching what is walking through your gates, those gates of your mind. Nobody is monitoring where you are letting in. Nobody is checking what is setting up camp in your thought life. Nobody except you. The question today is, are you guarding it? Are you guarding those thoughts? I wrote a book called Think About What You're Thinking. And the book just helps explain how important it is to take thoughts captive. Because a lot of times we just let our minds do what it does and never think about what we're thinking. It's not a biography. I just share examples in my life how I overcame negative thinking, anxiety that just bombarded my thoughts on a daily basis. Reality is there is a dangerous trinity quietly at work in this generation. The first voice is social media. The U.S. Surgeon General, the top doctor in this nation, issued an unprecedented national advisory warning parents about what social media is doing to young people's mental health. Here is the finding that stopped the country cold. Teens who spend more than 3 hours daily on social media have doubled their risk of anxiety and depression. That's startling. And nearly half of all Gen Z, 49%, report feeling stress and anxiety after scrolling. But they keep scrolling anyway, most because of boredom. It is curated, it is filtered, it is highlights the real, pretending that it's real life. And every scroll tells your subconscious you are behind, you are less than, you are not enough, you don't look like that, you don't live like that, you don't have what they have. The second voice is negative self-talk, and it takes everything social media, from social media, and it whispers to you. It whispers very loudly, and then it repeats back in your mind, that voice. It takes everything social media whispers and repeats it back in your own voice, because your own voice is the one you trust the most. So when you start saying it, it feels like truth. When it starts to say, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not far along enough, I will never get it right. And the data confirms the damage. Between 2009 and 2017, before the worst of the social media explosion, depression in young adults aged 18 to 25 grew by 63%. Serious psychological distress in that same age group increased 71%. Suicidal thoughts rose by 47%. Those are startling numbers. But these numbers were not showing up in older adults. This is a young person's crisis, and it's living primarily in the mind. The third voice is the outside voices. And this one may be the most dangerous of all of them because it wears a friendly face. 87% of teens report being cyberbullied on social media. That's right, 87%. That means the unguarded mind is not just quietly being whispered to, it is being actively and deliberately attacked. That's so sad. It could be by classmates, by strangers, by people who have never been assigned to your destiny, trying to define it for you in any way possible. And here's what makes all three so dangerous. When the mind is left unguarded, all three walk right through the gates at the same time. They don't knock, they just move in, they set up the furniture, the kitchen table, and all. They become the landlord of thoughts that were never supposed to live there. And slowly, without even realizing it, you start thinking their thoughts. That's right, not your thoughts, but their thoughts. Speaking their words, living their limitations. 48% of teens now say they believe social media has a negative impact on people their age. They know something is wrong, but knowing and stopping are two entirely different things. That is why the guard has to be intentional. It has to be a deliberate thing. It has to be daily. Proverbs 4:23 says, above all, guard your heart, for everything flows from it. And the Hebrew word for guard is NATSAR, to watch, to keep, to preserve, to protect, as a watchman on a wall. And a watchman did not occasionally glance around. It was his full-time assignment to post there, make alert, to be on duty. He was watching full-time, guarding those gates, because the enemy was always looking for an unguarded gate. And there's a scripture says, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. So the enemy is vigilant and diligent in what his assignment is. So we have to, above all, guard our heart. And in Hebrew, the heart is the mind. They are not separate things. What lives in your heart lives in your head, lives in your mind. What lives in your head eventually lives in your life. What Solomon is saying is, post the watchman at the gate of your mind, because everything, your decisions, your relationships, your direction, your destiny, every single thing flows from what you allow to live there. Philippians 4:8 says, and I love this scripture, it says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, think about such things. Paul is not saying casually consider nice things. He is saying audit. Audit what is living in your mind. Take inventory and evict what does not belong. And in my book, Think About What You're Thinking, there's a workbook that just does just that. It helps you audit your thoughts. Romans 12:2 seals it. It says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by renewing your mind. It's not a touch up. It's not a fresh coat of paint over the old damage. It's a total reconstruction of your mind from the inside out. And this generation is being renovated by the wrong contractor. Who's your contractor? William James, who was the father of American psychology, said the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. You have a choice every single moment about what gets to stay in your mind. And the great theologian A.W. Tozer said, what comes into our minds when we think about God is the most important thing about us. Because the mind that is filled with the truth of who God is has less room for the lies of who the world says you are. This week, become the watchman of your own mind. I have 3 practical assignments that I encourage you to consider for this week. Number 1, audit your social media. If an account consistently makes you feel less, unfollow it without apology. You're in control. You're in control. You are not required to give anyone access to your mind, to your gate. The Surgeon General already told us it is dangerous. Now act like it's dangerous. Act like your life depends on it, which it does. Catch that negative self-talk is number 2. The moment you hear yourself say, I can't, I'm not enough, I'll never, stop, replace it. All right? Replace it with what God says, not what feels true, but what is absolutely true. And then the last one, number 3, evaluate the outside voices. Who has the most access to your mind right now? Do they speak life or do they speak death and limitations? Not every voice deserves a seat at your table and the table of your thought life. Mama said, get out of your own head. God is saying the same thing. He's saying, come into mine. God is saying, come into mine. Let me show you who you really are, because his thoughts are so much greater than us. God said he knows the thoughts he thinks of us, thoughts of good and not of evil, to give us an expected end. Proverbs 23:7 says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. This is a powerful scripture, because as you think, you become. You're not just randomly becoming whoever you are. You are calculating yourself into existence, one thought at a time. That is the entire message of my book, Think About What You're Thinking. Because the mind that is left unguarded does not stay empty. It gets filled, whether with great things that God's truth has said or with the negative thoughts that you allow in it. The only question is, filled with what and filled by whom? The Surgeon General warned us. The statistics confirmed it. Mama saw it before any of them. And then God designed the solution before the problem ever existed. Now guard your gate. Drop in the comments, what did your mama say about getting out of your own head? Or what is the thought you need to evict from your mind today, right now, right now, right now? Let's talk about it right here. Be well and be loved. God bless you.